This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne. And in the queue for you today, we have the 10 stories that we present for you on a Monday morning. We're doing this on the live stream, so a little glitchy, so give us a little minute with that one. But we have for you the 10 stories from the past weekend. We'll explain how these stories were picked by you and by me to get them into this headline bonanza that is here. Now, they covered information, politics, events, pop culture news, and we got a whole lot of Donald Trump going straight off the deep end, if you will, very quickly. Oddly enough, we're not talking about that story, but other stories surrounding Donald Trump, plus some Elon Musk good news for him, maybe, and Warren Buffett taking the long ride into the sunset, and more coming up. We'll explain how these stories got to be a part of our world today, this morning. But three things to tell you right now off the bat. Three things. Number one, our website home. This is theconversationproject.com, where you can find out more about the Conversation Project, the hows, the whys, and everything we do all day long, all night long. Also, we want to remind you that the website is a link to our affiliate ad for today, which is Zenni Optical. This is theconversationproject.com. So that's Zenni, Zenni. Get great deals on great glasses and help us out with this affiliate link. And you can email us with all the comments, concerns, and the commentary you want to me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. No particular order, and the stories we're going to give you, except they just sort of fit this way. Well, to explain how engagement helps you pick the stories going forward. And of course, today is Monday, May the 5th, 2025. So let's get into it for this first full week of May. Story number one, as I said, we're talking three Trump stories off the bat. We're not actually talking directly about the interview he gave this weekend with Kristen Welker, or a few days back, that aired this weekend, about an hour's worth of actual interview with Donald Trump, who seems to be sitting down with her a lot, or sitting down with everyone a lot. And there are a lot of things that came out of that one from the weekend, to include, the fact that he's not sure he has to follow the Constitution or something to that extent. But we have three stories off the bat. Number one, this is something he's proposed, has said something for a while, and now, because he's kind of got that pin going, may come to fruition, where Trump is proposing renaming the Veterans Day holiday to Victory Day for World War I. Everything that's old is new again, as Trump is proposing renaming Veterans Day to Victory Day for World War I, designating May 8th at Victory Day in World War II. Two celebrations for both victories. This is from a recent Truth Social post, and Trump expresses frustration that the United States celebrations aren't sufficiently celebrating the military victories, because we won both wars. Nobody was close to us in terms of strength, bravery, and military brilliance, but we never celebrate anything, which goes to the point where he's not quite getting the point. We should start celebrating the victories again. Veterans Day is observed in November 11th, and was originally called Armistice Day in 1919 to commemorate the end of the war, World War I. In 1954, following World War II and the Korean War, Congress renamed it Veterans Day to honor all American veterans. May 8th was known as Victory in Europe Day, marked the Allied victory over Nazi Germany in 1945, but not a federal holiday in the U.S. Trump's proposal would require Congress to approve official change of names and statutes to these observances. Now, there's a back and forth going on right now with all the holidays we have, and right now there's a couple that are in dispute based on DEI, i.e. the King holiday and the Juneteenth holiday, which we will find out if it comes around this year again in June, I guess. But the proposal are having criticisms from many folks, including veterans groups, who want to keep Veterans Day to basically commemorate all the veterans from all the wars, world wars, Korean, Vietnam, and recent engagements. All the veterans getting all the love they can in these situations. And then Memorial Day to, of course, honor all the people who died in all the wars. It's pretty much there. It pretty much makes sense. Pretty much written in wet cement, if you will, although Donald Trump's going to break it up, on what these things mean and why they go there. Although Donald Trump wants to say, we're not winning enough. We're not celebrating the wins. We're not celebrating that trophy we won 10 years ago, even though we haven't won since then. Because Donald Trump is a bit shallow and only knows the winning parts, even when he doesn't realize the score is not in his favor. Let's move on to another thing that Trump did. And I got confused in this one. We actually had a hot take on this one for the weekend. Yesterday being May the 4th and Star Wars Day, where the White House put out an image of Donald Trump as a Jedi, saying that he was going to take down the opponents who were the Sith, and the Jedi that Donald Trump's picture had the red lightsaber, which would assume he was a Sith, because the internet actually knows better. Also, part of this story was headlined from a few days ago, where Donald Trump, actually himself, not his actual White House people, put out the image that you see right here if you're watching the video of Donald Trump AI'd as a Pope, Pope DT the first, I guess, going forward on this one. There are so many just sort of oddities on this thing right here that it just becomes what it is. Now, the actual story that we're talking about is this image right here. The bizarre post on Truth Social that had people sort of scratching their heads, and many people who were Catholic and Catholic adjacent saying, "What the hell is going on, DJT?" It's an AI generated image, him dressed as a pope in social media platforms. Just a simple picture. No real words, nothing going on. And when asked about this one, I don't know if it was before the picture was out there or after or just in general, Trump said what everyone else would say. Yeah, I'd like to be Pope. Pope's one of those top things I'd like to be, although he doesn't qualify. He doesn't even come close to qualifying. But Trump would like to be your Pope, I guess. So there's that. Words specifically from let's call him America's Cardinal. Timmy Dolan was actually a close associate of Trump, known him from years, and said that the image is what's known as bruta figura. It's basically saying it basically translates to really, really dumb. Not a good idea. Should not have been there. Many folks are, of course, throwing stones at him. Most of the folks that are following or follow him and basically are allies are making the joke part of it, saying, he's just having fun, going on whatever, things like that. And J.D. Vance, who is Catholic, actually downplayed the incident itself, favoring for jokes on tolerance over political conflicts, even though he's a man who makes jokes that don't have much tolerance and offers up more political conflicts than you would expect. That's up to sort of the crassness that is Donald Trump. And that's not so much the problem. Him being crass is not the problem. It's folks around his orbit not knowing when to hold him back, and him himself, essentially, as I've said in many things in the past, not understanding how jokes work. When something is lobbed at him that he doesn't not quite like, he takes it as an offense and will brood over it forever, i.e. why he's president now. When something he puts out there is a bit off-centered and people take to offense, he doesn't understand what's wrong with it. He doesn't get it because it's just a joke. This was not a joke, as a judge has actually blocked the executive order that Trump signed, if you will, targeting Perkins Coie, the law firm. A federal judge, has permanently blocked the president's executive order that targeted law firm Perkins Coie, ruling it unconstitutional and an abuse of presidential power. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell issued a 102-page opinion stating that the executive order violated the First, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments, three of them right there, which kind of gets you in the place where you are. The order had aimed to revoke security clearances, terminate federal contracts, and restrict access to federal buildings for Perkins Coie, their employees, and all work for them, citing past representation of the firm of clients who were opposed to Trump's administration. Basically, anybody who sued Trump and working against him that they worked for made them non-gratis to the entire government. Judge Howell described the order as a retaliation and viewpoint discrimination, something that Donald Trump has been saying a lot is an issue. And when it's being pushed towards him, trying to fight back, emphasizing that it penalized the firm for its legal representation of disfavored clients, including work done for Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. So the legal community is actually, cheering for this one because it's the first case that's really has some sort of teeth against it. And for Perkins Coie, who actually is fighting as opposed to laying over and just giving up against anything for Trump, asserting that the executive order was unlawful and in the meantime saying it was just bad faith for everyone and all Americans could not really get anything out of it if Donald Trump and the administration was saying, no, you can't come into these federal buildings and represent anybody because you represent somebody against one guy. That is not good. And the courts doing their job are agreeing with what should be more or less the common sense. The reality is it doesn't matter how good, how bad, how evil you think a law firm is. They have the right to defend or go against anyone they choose to. Basically, if someone has the money to pay for them, they should do that. If they do pro bono work and they decide they're going to take this one on their own, they should do that. They should have the chance to do that. You should not bar them from stepping into the building because they said something mean about you in the past. That's something that sort of stands on principle with the Trump administration. Let's go for some good news for Elon Musk. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to move his actual compound nearby to the space, but the new city or town of Starbase will become an official city, and the SpaceX headquarters in Texas will now be a town of its own, a homestead, if you will, for SpaceX. This small area, which is basically housed and employed by essentially people that work at the SpaceX complex, will now grow into an official municipality. That means it's going to bring in the village of Boca Chica, the 212 people who live there. 218 people voted. 212 to 6 said they wanted it. Only 6 people were against it, to incorporate it to the city of Starbase. So a larger area, more grants, more local governance, more zoning, more tax revenue, more public services. And what's going to be really big about this is better money for schools, better money for infrastructures, and a larger stead going forward. And what will probably be the biggest part of SpaceX and Starbase will be some tourism to this tiny space, which will become a good-sized town in time. It encompasses about 1.5 square miles along the Gulf Coast on Brownsville, Texas. The population is primarily SpaceX employees and their families that are just kind of there to work on what's happening. The corporation aims to streamline operations for SpaceX's Starship program, making it central for Musk's plans for travel. Basically, a city around his workplace to make things work better. It's going to take a little time. It's going to take a little effort. And critics argue that the incorporation can lead to increased control by SpaceX over the public resources, such as access to beaches and sideline community interests. People just kind of show up in the area to just hang out, may have to deal with the municipality putting restrictions on things because Musk doesn't want them. This is not exactly the colonizing that Musk was actually planning for, but let's say it's a start, and it's a big start to get a real foothold, a real platform in to building what should be his platform to eventually go to the stars and take over other places. This didn't seem like such a big story until the weekend, and it was essentially until we had some Trump-related things that sort of turned into things to talk about. The big talk for the weekend, opening up and going into most of it, was Newark Airport and the flights being slashed. This is a story on an article on United Airlines, specifically cutting its flights in out of Newark in New Jersey amid the tech failures and FAA shortages there. The larger story is that Newark's Liberty International Airport, effective on May the 3rd, is losing some flights from United because Federal Reserves, the Federal Aviation Agency, the feds are basically not staffing it up well with air traffic controllers, and there's all sorts of effective issues from there. Not effectively having enough controllers there. There's a shortage across the nation, and Newark, which is one of the most busiest airports around the nation, although they all get told that every other day, is having serious issues. The Philadelphia Air Traffic Control Center overseeing Newark's airspace is essentially having swamped. So with that, many airlines are backing up. It's a madhouse through the weekend as many flights were being delayed, many flights being canceled. And here we have the article specifically with United pulling many of its flights and basically culling its offerings because they can't deal with it. About 20% of air traffic controllers responsible for New York's operations have recently walked off the job, making it impossible to maintain scheduled flight operations. And with that, not bringing people in and having people leave so fast is an issue. Now, there are fixes in the place. The administration is trying to do things to fast track people into air traffic control and get people into new jobs. The problem is you can't just squeeze them into certain places, and it takes a while for people to get into these jobs. And the washout rate for people starting the class and making it through, it's about 60% because it's hard. It's a very hard job, demanding job, and very stressful, which is why we can get people in there, do what you can to keep them there forever, if you will. They're also looking at the mandatory retirement age, which I believe is 60, getting sort of pushing that back a bit so people can work a few years extra to get people in the jobs. But in the meantime, what you have is issues. Newark is just one hot button in the buttons that are hot right now. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is announcing his plan to recruit these new people and get these into places as quickly as possible. The target is 2,000 new air traffic controllers in this year alone. But as we said, it takes time to get them trained, get them places. And in the meantime, there's no relief for Newark. We ask you to take a moment to help us out here for things you might have heard and the conversation project itself. Thank you for enjoying, I'm saying that sort of projecting, enjoying what you're seeing right here. And if you do enjoy it, we'd like you to help us grow our world, grow our News Nerd Nation. We're asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the work you're seeing. This one in particular, or anything you see on our feeds, Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, the newsletter, the audio podcast. Like the product you're watching or listening to, and it will allow me to know that I'm doing the goods on what's going on. I got the best stories. I'm getting good commentary. I'm not fumbling over words so much, which happens a lot. And it shows algorithms that what we're producing for you here may be a good thing to watch. So they may show it up to more folks so they can see it as well, get more people to chat there. If you know people who enjoy this type of news and commentary, share it directly with them so that we can get more people to see it that way, and they may hopefully share it as well and like it, of course. And if you're not getting me natively into your feed, if you're not seeing me, just popping up in your notifications, subscribe. You will see me as we pop up here on this long form here and the short takes that happen on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Now, this is what we do every single weekday. We do this show here. This is a 5-day week thing, 10 stories on Monday and 8 for the rest of the week. And so in order to make sure we have more people engaged in the stories and more people to engage and get more stories in, we need more people involved. And that means simply liking what people see here so they can mostly see it and join in the fun. So like, share, and subscribe so we get more people in the News Nerd Nation with all of us going forward. Moving on to Harry Sussex, Harry Windsor, Harry Prince of Sussex, Duke of Sussex. And here's the thing about Harry. We do a lot of stories that are Meghan and Harry or Meghan adjacent because people have a very, very, very distinct and well-defined thought process on the princess, the Duchess of Sussex, if you will, the American princess. And that's fine. But Harry is more of an afterthought. Harry has always been an afterthought, he says, in his time going forward. And right now, what we're seeing and he's showing is just a man trying to protect his family. So right now, he's talking about wanting a family reunion after the court battle with the security and essentially with his father. The too long didn't read version of this is that Harry is expressing very publicly desire to reconcile with his family following the recent legal defeat concerning his security arrangements in the United Kingdom. He said in an interview with the BBC, actually leaving town, saying, "I would love to reconcile with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. Life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has." And the dispute is actually bigger than all of them. It's actually on his status, if you will, as a royal, which he's given up a lot of that title because he wanted to shield his family, shield his wife and kids from some of the ugliness that is tabloid life in the UK and being a royal. So he stepped back from royal duties. He has things that he doesn't really do anymore. And he and his wife, his family live in the States where his wife is from. He contends that the decision, which is influenced by Buckingham Palace officials essentially pushing him away, jeopardizes his family's safety. This is the decision to not give him the security that he thinks he should get when he goes to the UK because of this family, and is a big deal because it means threats by paparazzi and other folks, both in New York and in the UK. Despite concerns, High Court upheld the government's decision to not give him the big time security when he's in town, and because of that, there are issues with him going to visit his father. Now, he says he's not visited his father in many years. They've not spoken at all. And so this is a rift that he'd like to fix. He's also having issues with his brother, the prince, who actually is the next in line to be king if that happens. But the royal households themselves remain that this is a dealing of the courts. This is a dealing of the legislature. This is actually official acts. This is nothing on them, the royals, peoples, to Harry personally. Now, Harry has, done his things and been sort of the oddball and the jerk all his life and tried to, and I'm going to say this in my words, make a quick buck off, the notoriety of him being the least likely heir to get anything. Unfortunately, it has sort of backfired. He seems to be doing okay in the States, but just okay. And because of that, he wants to try to seemingly and sincerely reconcile with his father before his father passes away and kind of get back into good graces with his brother as well. We will see how this thing plays out and whether family becomes a real issue on the larger end, the natural family or the family that he has created, which one actually wins out in the end. The headlines grew. First was Lady Gaga performing a concert for about 1 million people. Then it was Lady Gaga's actually performing for about 2 million people. And then the hilarity, the craziness, the insanity kind of came through. As the headline we're actually talking about is Brazil arrests 2 in bomb plot threatening Lady Gaga's concert in Rio. And it got weirder from there. The Brazilian authorities have arrested 2 individuals in connection with the thwarted bomb plot targeting Lady Gaga's free concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, which drew an estimated 2.5 million attendees. The suspects are men described as group leaders arrested in the southern state of Rio Grande del Sul for illegal firearms possession and a teenager detained in Rio de Janeiro on child pornography charges, were allegedly part of an extremist group promoting hate speech and seeking to radicalize teenagers online. The group reportedly planned to use improvised explosives and Molotov cocktails to attack the concert, specifically targeting the LGBTQ community. There is a lot going on in this thing, but one of the things in the underbelly of what's going on in the fan base known as Little Monsters are a lot of people of many different sort of ideals and visions, mostly young people. Many of them are LGBTQ plus, but essentially falling in love with Lady Gaga and all her iterations of herself. So through that, they work well to basically try to be loving to all folks. The group, these guys and the group they were representing, basically were using the guise of being Gaga fans, being Little Monsters, to disseminate violence on other platforms and extreme symbolism. Raids across multiple Brazilian states happened across this time, with many electronic devices putting on a lot of things that showed the planned attack, what was going to happen. The arrest was just hours before the concert, but no one knew about it. About 5,200 military officers actually were involved in the arrest going forward to make sure everything was safe and keeping up with the concert. Lady Gaga heard about this a few hours after it was first reported in the news, and she was saddened to hear about what was happening, but happy that nothing happened. Many of the concert goers, no idea what was happening. And a really, really weird incident that may be related to this one particularly. There was also someone who was basically planning on doing some sort of satanic ritual based on the fact that they believe Lady Gaga was an agent of Satan. And the plan was to do a live stream of some sort of satanic ritual. That also thwarted as well. I don't have that detailed directly in this one because we focus mostly on the bombs. But it was an odd thing. Lady Gaga should have outgrown, outmaneuvered, outdone that sort of weirdness stuff. The whole Lady Gaga wore meat to concert type things and should be just herself. Apparently, it never ends. It never goes away. And when people see the opportunity, they do their best to take it. Seen an opportunity to basically step down and kind of have a quiet life, if you will. Warren Buffett is going to back up off his life as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway after 55 years. Berkshire Hathaway. The legendary Oracle of Omaha has announced his decision to step down at the end of 2025, pretty quickly, within the next 6-7 months. And that's over a 60-year tenure at his job. He's 94 years old, so he probably needs a little time to chill out. His partner who in the crime with this one has already passed away. And the news was shared at the annual shareholder meeting, which is covered very bigly on CNBC all weekend long. In fact, I think it's covered fairly exclusively all the times. I don't remember a live feed of the show all weekend long, which happened this weekend. That's a new thing to me, but people, I think, anticipated something big like this. It happened. 2 standing O's from attendees when he announced it. He designated Greg Abel, who's 62, much more of a spring chicken than Mr. Buffett, the current vice chairman, to basically be successor. This is a vice chairman over non-insurance operations, say. He's been with the company since 92, so he's been here for a while. He's been publicly identified as the heir apparent basically for the past couple of years. He's been out there in the scenes. Now it's official. Buffett did the Mufasa thing and held the baby up, and Zazu bowed, and there was rain for upcoming new leadership at Berkshire Hathaway. Now, under the leadership, under all this time, it went from a struggling textile manufacturer. Berkshire Hathaway was basically just something that made cloth, to a $1.16 trillion conglomerate, which encompasses diverse businesses such as Gaga Railway and Dairy Queen, his favorite restaurant, holding significant investments in places like Apple and Coca-Cola as well. His investment philosophy emphasizes patience and value investing, and been widely admired. Basically, you buy something you like and you just hold it forever until you see something in trouble. Then you get rid of it and you replace it with something else that you like and you hold it forever. The shareholders meetings have been called the Woodstock for capitalists, where basically people buy some shares, show up, get the love, get the advice, and do what they can. Now, Berkshire Hathaway is a very big, very large sort of stock, and it sells in 2 different shares, and A shares and B shares. The A shares are hundreds of $1,000s or tens of $100,000 per share, and the other ones not quite that, but pretty expensive. And it's something I've owned for a while. And recently on the Robinhood platform, you can own fractional shares of both. The big one very recently decided, nope, you're all gonna be all in, so we need your 6 figures to be in this thing, and so I'm not at that one. But I've been following the man for quite some time, following his stock for a short bit of time, and I've learned a lot in my investing portfolio from him. His wealth is estimated at $1.68 billion, known for modest lifestyle and philanthropic commitments. Also, I think he is in charge of the pledge that he's basically said his kids aren't getting much of his money, which they're fine with, and trying to get everybody to give their money away when they die, which people have pledged to. But then the pledges are kind of like, yeah, I pledged to it, but maybe it goes to a foundation that pays for my dogs and not the philanthropic things that we said. We'll see what happens, how Abel will work going forward. It's going to be quick. Coming at the end of this year, a brand new leader for Berkshire Hathaway, and whether that will be some sort of transitional turn or a downturn in the markets in general and for that particular stock and holdings. The USDA will not actually freeze the funds over rules for transgender athletes in Maine. Good news for Maine. Good news for USDA, actually. They agreed not to freeze federal nutrition funding for Maine following a legal dispute over state's policy allowing transgender athletes to participate in girls' sports. The decision comes after a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order in April, halting the suspension of approximately $3 million in nutrition and aid. Maine Attorney General Aaron Frey expressed satisfaction with the statement, stating that the funds should continue to support children and vulnerable adults across their state. The conflict began when Trump administration had threatened to withhold funds, alleging that Maine's policies violated Title IX, which prohibits sex-based discrimination in federally funded education programs. The discrimination is biological males in female sports. Governor Janet Mills resisted the order and actually had a little back and forth with Trump at a meeting of mayors, which had some viral moments, and asserting that she was going to adhering to the law and basically do what she's going to do going forward. USDA was the first agency to suspend funding, but the judge found this action to be violation of legal protocols. USDA has now agreed to proper procedures, making the future funding no big deal because they will fund Maine. USDA funding issues have been resolved. Maine still faces ongoing legal actions from the state's Department of Education and Justice, who are still fighting this fight, alleging that the state's policies violate Title IX. We said it already. Could jeopardize about $250 million in total federal education funds on top of the funds here for just nutrition. We put this in there last. It was kind of a back and forth weekend. There was, of course, May the 4th stuff happening. There was a lot of Donald Trump doing AI stuff, and the sort of fallout, the breakup of the interview he did with Kristen Welker, which in most cases, the Trump haters are going to say, this is why we hate him. Trump. The Trump lovers like, he's just a lovable guy. He's just a funny guy. He's just being a normal guy. So we end this on something that we're all can kind of agree about, that was a bit of rumbling. That is, Kamala Harris is considering what to do next. Will it be a run for governor? Will it be another presidential campaign? We don't know. She doesn't actually know. She can't actually say it. But in a recent speech, we talked about that last week at Emerge America at the gala in San Francisco, she criticized President Donald Trump and his economic policies and emphasized the need for unified opposition to his administration. These are the words of someone who seems like they're going to fight for something next. But in the question to her in our next steps is, everybody is asking me, well, what we've been thinking about these days. And she didn't answer. There is some support, about 31% of support of her to be governor of California, which is 31% more than I have, if you will. But reactions are also mixed on how she would do going back home to run things. Right now, Gavin Newsom is leaving, so it's an open platform in the next couple of years of who's going to run, who's going to be that way. But right now, with the 31% of people who want her to be there, 36% are indifferent, while 22% are kind of excited. So the big deal is, will she take a second shot at the presidency? Without Donald Trump in the way, can she actually win this thing? And with, at this point, 4 years, 2.5 years to build up some sort of platform, can she outdo other folks, including, we suspect, folks like Josh Shapiro and Gavin Newsom? Wes Moore says he's not doing it, but he's still showing up and doing the necessaries to get up there. So remember, Barack Obama, 2 years into his term, with a 6-year term in the Senate, said, nope, I'm not doing anything. I'm running out my term. I'm going to be a senator. I'm not running for anything. And, you know, he ran for president. He won, by the way. We'll see how this plays out with the political landscape going forward and Harris's decision coming months, because you'll have to say something pretty quickly, because you got to start running fundraisers and raising money and being galas and having FaceTime, things like that. Whether she's going to shoot for the short-term one, the quicker one, which is the governor, whether she can shoot for the longer-term one, which will be, of course, the president, or whether she's going to follow on someone's footsteps, ride someone's coattails, and maybe be attorney general, maybe do something like that. Maybe she could be a Supreme Court justice. We don't know what's happening next until she tells us. We just have to wait and see. Those are 10 stories from Friday to early this morning that we talked about today in our headlines that you helped us aggregate, conversate. And while you did that was by just basically engaging in stories on our feeds on Facebook and X. Facebook.com/This Conversation Project, X.com/TH_conversation. And it's simple. You go there every 50 minutes or so and you can see the stories that we are covering. And you to help us pick the stories that get into these things. Your engagement makes the call. These are some stories that are lined up, teased up, queued up, ready to go throughout the next mornings, pretty soon after we release this video. And you can engage and help them be a part of the show tomorrow. 8 stories for tomorrow. TikTok gets presidential lifeline as Trump considers deadline extension because it hasn't been sold yet. So he's going to extend it a bit more. Israel is okaying a plan to intensify military operations in Gaza with word from public broadcast reporting on this one because Israel's not going to give up on what's going on in Gaza, whether we want them to or not. And sources say we don't necessarily want them to. And today, you've heard about it all weekend. Today, you'll start hearing as the trial for sex trafficking trial is set to begin for Sean Diddy Combs today with opening statements and, of course, jury selection starting off on today. We'll get some insight on how that's going and what's going to happen in this one. Is this going to be something to be very watched? The trial of the summer will possibly be Sean Combs and the many, many things going forward. Mangione and the many, many things going on forward as well. Our spotlight sponsor for this morning is Zenni Optical. Zenni. I want you to visit our website. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenni for a look at Zenni Optical to look for your eyes. My eyes, I use them for my glasses. To get the best you can in service and quality in the actual product. Zenni Optical has been my optometrist. Well, they've been my supplier glasses, not my actual optometrist. I'll see her this week, and she will, of course, tell me I need to get bifocals because she's been saying that for about 4 years now. And this will probably be the year I go ahead and take that, go forward with that, because eventually I understand what's going on. But if you're in the market for whatever glasses, regular glasses, bifocals, sunglasses, prescription or blue blocking lenses, Zenni Optical has you covered with prices starting as low as $695. They have lenses, these or they have frames. These frames right here, they're basic, they're simple, they're $695. I've been buying the same frames for a decade or so. They're not that cheap. They're inexpensive. They're not cheap. They're well made. I have all the ones I've had. I have in backup soon forward. The lenses, very well put together. So the lenses where things cost more money. I have right now a little tin in my lenses to help me read things, help me see things a little bit off the glare stuff. So it works on that end. But it's they are. You use the virtual try-on feature to try on any pair of glasses online by putting your face in there and putting the picture on top of you, seeing what tints, things like that going on. And they have all the technology you need: photochromic, anti-reflective, progressives, sunglasses, sports glasses, 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like them, you send them back, send your money back. Don't send them $100 so they can send you 5 pairs and send 4 back. Send them your money. They send you glasses. If you don't like them, you send them the glasses. They just send it back. It's simple. Go to our website, our link, which is our affiliate link. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenni, and get great deals on these glasses. See the world in much better ways, clearly through your glasses, and what good heart of the savings that you have, and great style as well. It's eyewear for every you, for men, women, and children. Check it out at Zenni Optical. The Conversation Project lives online at our website. This is theconversationproject.com. You can get news that actually reflects what you care about by you telling us what you care about. We post news articles every 50 minutes or so for you to engage in on our feeds on Facebook and X. And you just engage in the stories as you see them. Like them, love them, hate them, share them, engage in them, read them, reply to them. Higher the engagement score, the better chance they have of getting in the next edition going forward. As I said, our website home is this. It's conversationproject.com. My email address, conversationinbox@gmail.com. You can complain or consult on anything we've done here with those things. But our feeds are found on Facebook and X. Facebook.com/thisisconversationproject. Next.com/th_conversation. What you get from there is simply a chance to vote up stories to see what's happening. The 10 stories we talked about here were all links to headlines we posted all weekend long. And that's how it works. It's great. So if you want to see how great we did, check it out. If you want to complain about a story that got in, that should have got in, check us out. It's all there. Let me know how we're doing. Let me know what's happening. Let me know what's happening and let me know what's going on. Oh, we're also transmitting live again, so I can read your comments again here, there. And we get a comment from a token Pyrenees, so I'm pretty sure is a bot, who tells us blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Every share counts. It counts towards the governance. It all counts. Thank you. In the meantime, we want to thank you for being you, being y'all's, being a part of the show for this Monday, May 5th, 2025. Also, big ups to my boy Josh, who gave me a like on Facebook this morning. Thank you so much, Josh. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine in your retirement. A fine service crewman in the Army, and now he's out there, running the streets, being a cop for full time. So, congratulations on your time, and congratulations also on raising a fine boy. He just graduated from high school this past weekend, college, and great things await him as well. With that, I bid you adieu. Love you guys. Mean it. Hey, be good to each other. If you want to say blah, 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 that's awesome. But try a little harder.